Good morning and Happy New Year. I've been asked by several people to document what we've been working on. And I've talked to several people, including my wife, and she said, just throw it out, haul it to the junkyard. But to me, this process is more about how it mirrors the gospel with a redemptive story of healing and restoration and restore and just bringing it back to what it was meant to be. Um, I have a lot of video equipment and programs that we can make these videos great and fancy, but for me, the whole purpose of really wanting to document this process is so that if I need to go back and look at something and see how I took something apart so I can figure out how to put it back together, it would be a video archive for that. But the more and more that I started getting into this project and putting off making any kind of videos, it just hit me of how much doing this really does resemble the gospel message. And so then it became a bit more personal for me. We got some videos of how all this came about. But just to give you the short story, is that we had this vehicle that was abandoned on our shop property when we purchased it several years ago. Now the tags on this thing says 1962, but we figured that this thing was quite a bit older than that, and we'll show you that here in just a moment. Well, here it is. This is an old mail truck, and so we thought it may have been a 55, 56, maybe a 57. And it's kind of funny when I tell everybody I have a 57 Chevy, they think a fancy car or maybe a truck. But this is an old mail van, and it was abandoned on the property a long time ago. And from the history of what we can gather is that it was wrecked on the front end, and I'll show you that. So down here in the front, this side's pretty good, but this side was pretty rough. This whole area here was beat in and banged up. This wasn't round. I've spent some time pulling those dents out. Still have a little bit more to work in this area to finally get it out. But yep, there's no engine, there's no drivetrain. So we've started pulling some panels off on the inside to just really see what's underneath and what all we're going to have to replace and how far we're going to have to go with it. I'm thinking we're going to end up having to pull all these panels. There's some holes in it, and I'll tell you what the reasoning for that was here in a moment, but those holes shouldn't be there. But I kind of used it as a paint booth a little bit to paint some parts so I can get everything on the front end put back together so we can get it to roll around a little bit. There's no brakes, so while we're working on it, we got to be cautious of that until we get some brakes in it. It's hard to see, but see all the way up in there, it's rusted out, so at some point we're going to have to rebuild all of that or weld in a patch, but it shouldn't be too difficult, hopefully. There's a lot of parts on this that interchanges with a GM or a Chevy 3/4 or 1-ton vehicle, so we do have access to some parts. Now you can see where there was some bezels here on the front at one time. We're going to have to make those by hand, so that should be an interesting process. Very difficult to see, but right here on the frame we can see, I guess that would be the serial number of the vehicle, or what we call nowadays the VIN number. There's one tag on the inside. It's all the way up here. And that's where we figured out that this is a Chevy, and the model number is a 3442. The old windows, they slide up and down. There's some mechanisms in there and gaskets that we're going to have to replace. I've already taken that panel off to see what the inside of that looks like and how difficult that's going to be. Glass is going to be fun. We're going to have to make patterns for that and have custom glass made. I had a guy that told me that he's got a company that can make these extruded gaskets, so hopefully I'll be able to get in contact with him. But yeah, this used to be an old mail truck. If you look carefully, you can kind of see where it says U.S. Mail across the top. There's the truck number on it. Not quite sure what this symbol used to be. There's the old post office logo. You see the blue post office paint. On the back still says U.S. Mail. But it was abandoned and left all the way in the back of the property. And so we needed a concrete pad to move some stuff out and make some room, and so we had to have it drug out. And we'll show you that in the next upcoming video.